Welcome back. News and Talk 1380 WAOK, the voice of the community. Call it 447-226-1380. Get you involved in the conversation. Join the conversation now since we're talking about comedians and stand-up. We have to bring in, of course, Sean, his father, is a legend in stand-up comedy, so I want to keep him in the conversation also, but bring in a friend of the show, here from day one, our day one, 10 toes down, former producer, former on-air here at WAOK, Darnell Morris, who left radio to pursue his stand-up comedy career, been touring around New York, Connecticut, New Jersey recently. Darnell, I want to bring you in on this conversation. What we've been talking about throughout the show is the Katt Williams interview on Club Shay Shay, which was really, just kind of petty, kind of high school gossipy type things, an athlete from the 90s talking to a comedian from the early 2000s, and it's got 31 million views that we checked a couple minutes ago. How can we turn a conversation like this into something actually constructive for our community?
We can't. We want to be entertained. What are you talking about? I'm here for the foolishness.
But why? Why do you think people care so much more about the foolishness than about anything useful?
Because you don't have to do any work for it. That's the main difference between black rooms and white rooms. Honestly, there's a level of thoughtfulness that has to go into one that doesn't have to go into the other, at least not in the same arena. And we just want something. Sometimes you never turn on TV and you just put on something that you don't care about. You have no interest in it. It's just background noise. That's what we're looking for.
I watch documentaries on World War II for leisure in my free time. So no.
Wow.
No.
Wow.
Yeah, that's I'm a hoot at dinner parties. This is no joke. Before we started the show, downstairs I was watching a documentary on Charlemagne and his conquest over the Lombards in 748 that led to the creation of the Holy Roman Empire. That's what I watched for leisure earlier today.
And Stacy's still there. This is what you do. Your wife is still there.
Hey, look, we all have our flaws.
Listen, I watch a lot of documentaries too. But I mean, I don't know. Katt Williams, he said, as far as the conversation itself, he said a lot of interesting things. Now, what you choose to believe, that's what makes it fun. As you sit there, you try and decipher.
Well, I was going to say with that, Sean was pointing out earlier that, these comedians who he called out, they really are in a catch-22 situation because if you respond, it gives credibility to it. It gives legitimacy to it. Ludacris released a freestyle. Cedric the Entertainer. Put out a video. Kevin Hart talked about it on ESPN. But then if you don't respond, then it looks like, you either it's true and you didn't say anything, or you're just too afraid to and you punked out from saying anything. What would you have done if you were one of the people that he called out? And let's say he said, I saw Darnell Morris leaving the Puff Daddy party, limping and getting into a car. How would you respond to that?
Well, first of all, I would be responding from my yacht. Okay, on my private island.
Sitting on an ice pack, popping some
painkillers. Okay, on a couple painkillers. Listen, I'm doing everything everybody wants to do. I'm just on a boat in the yacht, so judge me later. But I mean, I would respond because you know why? In today's, if you feel it in your heart to go and respond, because it doesn't matter. You're damned if you do, you're damned if you don't. But with the internet now, the internet remains undefeated. That interview came out. It couldn't have been 18 seconds before videos were up showing the original joke as opposed to the theft. So you can sit there and be quiet all you want, but we're sitting there, we're watching it. So I would rather go out and address it head on rather than, I don't know what he's talking about. Because now you're just insulting all of us. Now we don't know what we're watching.
it was kind of messed up because that so for the people who don't know, there was a Cedric the Entertainer joke where he says, "No, I went down south and I couldn't understand what the people were saying. They were talking so country and so fast." The guy said, "Well, my name's CJ, but everybody call me Bominicious." So he said, "Well, I was going around calling this dude Bominicious for about a week," and then the guy said, "Oh, about that, I was saying by my initials." And so that was the whole joke that he couldn't understand what he was saying, and it was apparently that was on Designing Women as a joke in like 1986, and so now they're playing the Cedric clip side by side with the Designing Women clip with Meshack Taylor saying that same joke 10 years beforehand, and then the same thing with the Katt Williams talking about driving a broke down car, and Cedric saying driving a broke down a space shuttle. Same joke. Or even Cedric pop locking and dancing like other comedians did at the time. It's a hard thing not to respond to when they're going after your credibility. But before we go, because I know we kind of called you out the blue to hop in on this, what do you think about this idea of comedians deciding to work together instead of kind of working apart? The way that Kevin Hart's doing with the Paper Cup Boys, kind of turning into a bigger, more formalized effort that can be a feeder system to get younger, up and coming comedians into the spotlight, as opposed to all the Netflix specials are still being ate up by the same comedians who were on Comic View back in '95.
I actually started trying to do something like that. I'm in the process of trying to do something like that because honestly, there are so many comedians and there's so much money in comedy. There's enough money for all of us. And there's no reason we don't have a SAG. Mm-hmm. Where's our SAG? We should start to talk to each other and stop trying to divide because everybody's always so paranoid in the comedy community. Somebody's stealing this, somebody's stealing that. Listen, people have been telling jokes since the beginning of time. There are going to be jokes that are similar. Now, if it's verbatim, I got a problem with that. But, there's only so many jokes you're going to tell about balls before it comes back around. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. So once we start to understand that and start to work with each other, we could actually build and make better comedy together. I know a lot of comedians that they're like, I can't have anybody help me. But I'm like, I can write a joke completely by myself, and I'm good with that. But I can also accept, a suggestion. Hey, what about that? I'd be like, that is dope. If I can use that, let's rock with it. If we did more of that, we could have a union. We could have health benefits. We got nothing but a wish and a prayer. And that's why every time a comedian dies, it's just a GoFundMe.
Yeah, if you notice, these comedians, they don't really retire. They just kind of keep working until they put them in the ground. And you're right about that. Do you have any shows coming up or any social media you want to promote?
January 28th, I am at the Broadway Comedy Club in New York. Come out, check me out. And then February 1st, I'm back at the Mohegan Sun in Connecticut. That's a 10 p.m. showing. And we always have a good time at the legendary Comics Roadhouse.
All right. Thanks so much, Darnell Morris, producer, friend of the show, friend of us all. So much thanks for you to join us, and we love all the success you had, stepping out on a wing and a prayer, really going into something you really cared about and what you really believed in. I'm glad you did that, and we're really proud and want to support you so much. All right. We will be back after the break.